time for the underdog. We the one that got the power when it's time to make a change. One time for the underdog. Yeah. One time for the underdog. Yeah. One time for the underdog. Yeah. One time for the underdog.
Thank you guys for joining me on another edition of the Segment Live. I have here with me the founder of FOREathletes.
That's correct.
Alan Chaney. Alan, first of all, man, how was the trip? How was the trip into Oxford? I know it's a big weekend. It's a lot of traffic. So how was the trip to Oxford?
Yeah, big weekend to Oxford. A lot of us from the golf team from Ole Miss when I played here back in 97, 01 are kind of getting together, having a big weekend. We probably haven't been back all together probably 10 years or so. So we've gotten a little older, no wives or kids, so we're excited.
Flat tire. That tells us about that. He had a flat tire incident earlier, a minor setback, but we're here now. So
yeah, I mean the flat tire story is. So I leave Atlanta yesterday, and temps have been dipping, so I thought it was just air gauge, whatever. So I fill them back up, everything shuts off. We'll drive all the way here, nothing happens. Wake up this morning and the air's gone back down on the sensor. And then it was something about the gas station I went and stopped to get gas, the way the sun was coming down, it just hit this glare on the side of the tire, and I could see like this rip on the side of the tire, and I was like, shit. And then right then, I knew I had a problem.
Yeah.
And so then I started going around Oxford to different tire shops and very hospitable groups. Some of them didn't have the tires I needed, but it worked out fine. I'm here with you right now.
Thank you.
I'm excited.
We appreciate
I'm excited to be here.
Oh yeah, we appreciate it. Before we kind of dive into your program, your mission, I'd like to kind of take it back to 2020, I believe, when I first met you at Quarterback Takeover in Atlanta, Georgia. For me, I was at a different part of my process where I was ready. I was ready to just dive in, kind of spend some money on myself on the mission. And my first real trip was to Atlanta, Georgia, to a Quarterback Takeover, and that was where I met you, along with Quincy Avery. So kind of talk about your relationship with Quincy and how you guys got met.
So, the Quincy Avery journey, as I would call it, is probably one of the most amazing things that has happened to me in my life. When I think about, what are we meant to do in this world, how things connect, Quincy is a very unique thing. I'll start back. So in 2017, I am on, this is Sutton Middle School's football field. And I'm watching my daughter's soccer practice. And I don't know if you've been to many soccer practices. I hope you haven't, because that's just getting weird.
I haven't.
Especially middle schoolers.
Yes.
But so I'm sitting there and, just kind of walking the track, whatever, and I see this guy throwing, and he's a big guy, and I'm like, man, who is this guy? And
you mean Quincy? Quincy's like 5'7".
No, it wasn't Quincy, so I was like, man, who is this guy? And so who it was actually is Emory Jones, who at the time, so this is October 2017, so he was committed to actually Ohio State at the time, before he ended up switching to Florida. But so I went over and introduced myself to Quincy, like just kind of, hey, look, I'm into sports, played golf. We just connected, like on a unique level. We connected. It was I don't know, and then just kind of left, right? Like you go back and kid playing soccer,
right?
So just kind of fast forward, kind of stayed in touch, whatever. But 2020 happened, and then Quincy, all of a sudden I see him swinging the golf club. So Quincy's got the golf bug. And so from right there, I reached out to him immediately. I said, I got you. I'm going to teach you how to play golf. I was like, this is going to help you in life. This will help you for so many reasons. And he's like, it's on. And so from there, we really just kind of week by week just kept building his golf game, building our relationship.
Yes,
yes. There was a lot of, you think COVID year, civil unrest going on. It was just such a good time for my soul to spend time with him. He's he's just such a charismatic figure. You talk about surrounding yourself with people better than you are. He's one of those people that I trust. And so we kept, spending time together. Then was really August of 2020. It's like, Alan, how do you feel like doing NFL draft prep for me? And it's going to be at least 2 guys. And I was like, yeah, that'd be awesome, and teach them how to play golf.
And wait, how long from that first instance? Oh my God, I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good.
How long from that first instance to him asking you that question? How
long?
Oh,
I mean, it was I mean, you're talking about several months.
Okay.
We really got to know each other.
Right.
I think he kind of knew what I was about.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm pretty transparent as a person.
Yeah.
And he is very transparent as a person.
Very.
And so we just, we connected, and I think he saw value. Mm-hmm. And, I think Quincy being the, great, quarterback guru that, on this earth, like what he does with guys and how he puts them in game situations, he saw something in golf that, hey, this could mentally help them, this could give them something else. And it really just, when he asked me to do it, I was like, great. And then it was 2 guys, Trey Lance and Jamie Newman. And it was so funny because Trey Lance at the time, no one knew who Trey Lance was. Trey Lance, I didn't know who Trey Lance was.
A kid from South Dakota State? North Dakota State.
North Dakota State. Don't
North
get that
Dakota
wrong.
State.
Bison.
Right.
Don't
North
get that
Dakota
wrong.
State,
He'll get mad at us.
North Dakota State. Sorry, Trey.
But yeah, so it was him and Jamie Newman. I was more familiar with Jamie Newman. Mm-hmm. He's from the South, opted out from Georgia. And so we spent time, those 2 guys and I just started spending a lot of time together, kind of talking. But that's kind of how Quincy and I really, gelled. And he's, to this day, he's one of my closest friends. We communicate, if not daily, multiple times a week, just checking up on each other. He's very interested in my success. There's nothing more I want from him than him to be successful. And I think that's when you start, you want to surround yourself with people that want you to be successful more than anything.
Yes.
And you're reciprocal of that. And that's just, it's the most amazing love in the world. Not to get kumbaya on anybody, because that's really not what we are. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a phenomenal relationship that I will cherish forever.
How was that for you internally, like mentally, when he reached out to you and you had to be ready for that moment when he reached out to say, hey, I'd like you to train my guys?
I mean, the game of golf is such a good bridge for so many things, and I've been around it my whole life. My dad was a professional instructor, and I had a junior career, and then, was here on the golf team at Ole Miss, and so it was just really kind of an organic, hey, like, I want to help Quincy out. I think that was the biggest thing, and I really took you tell self-pride and doing something, like when somebody like that asks you, like, to jump in and to help his guys do better, you're going to give it everything you can. You're going to give you're just blood, sweat, and tears, because you don't want to let that person down, especially what he's doing. I mean, he's turning the best quarterbacks in the world to be even better. So, anything we can do to, like, churn that, I mean, that's an amazing opportunity for me, because, I mean, let's be honest, we love being around the best.
Right.
And that's what that put me in the position to be. And it just kind of happened. I didn't really think much about it, because I didn't even really know what I was getting into. And so when we kind of talked this story of FOREathletes, like, this is nothing you could have designed. Nothing. You can't design it. It just happened. I mean, and it's the most exciting thing. I call it the coolest movement in golf, because I think it is. And the way certain sponsors, partners, athletes have reached out to this, it just catches traction every day. And man, when you just wake up every morning, it's just excitement, because you don't know what's next. I mean, it's definitely scary too.
Yeah.
At the same time, going through the journey of it. But, like, I've got great people around me, and it's fun.
FOREathletes.
Yes.
FORE.
Correct.
Athletes.
Correct.
Tell us the mission behind it.
Yeah, absolutely. So FOREathletes, it's a movement to introduce professional, high-level athletes into the game of infinite opportunity. And the game of infinite opportunity is golf. And I'm big on this because I've seen it. So golf can take, and I really think what it's going to do is it's going to change the world. Like, it's going to take years. It's going to take time, right? But, I'm teaching guys a skill that's going to put them in a level to where they can spend time with CEOs, board of directors, sponsors, agents. It's endless, right? So all of a sudden, in most of the guys that I work with at FOREathletes, kind of the mission behind it, is black athletes have never had any access to golf whatsoever.
Right.
And so there's
historically,
but there's two things there. There's golf really needs those athletes, and they really need golf. So when both sides need each other, I mean, it's really special. And so that's kind of what we've got here. We've got both need each other. Golf's going to benefit these elite level people. The coolest people on earth are going to benefit from this. And so I just think over time, from if it's not just within their brand, you know, I kind of talk of two things, like what it is, but really the two things where they really see the most benefit is within their brand, whether it be business, you know, whatever they want to get into, it's a gateway to it. Somehow, somebody plays golf. You go spend 4 hours with somebody and you can competently do this. I mean, you're gonna walk away with an opportunity of something. And there's just so much power behind that. And another part I think about that is just the health side of it. Competition, right? They love to compete, spend time with their friends, but they're outside as well. So there's so many good aspects to that, from, you know, competing with their friends, and then you think about the mental side of things. That's where I really kind of honed in and try and get these guys better on the mental side. And you know, there's actually even now, even in spending time with people that are big in human performance. Like I've spent time with guys that have like PhDs and things like that, and it's really getting exciting where I think it can help these guys from a mental standpoint, but also in their brand.
You bring up you know, some of the athletes that you've worked with. What would you say, as a professional golfer, what would you say it would be one of the most technical aspects that a golfer should have? A person that wants to get into golf should have.
Yeah, from a technical standpoint. Yeah. I mean, I don't know, like technical. I mean, I would definitely say patience.
Okay.
I mean, you know, it's always the next shot. I mean, it's always being present. And I think that's why people love the game of golf, is you have to be present. We live in this world now where everything's coming at us all the time. Well, in golf, that next shot is the most important thing. I think it allows us to just be present with our friends, with, you know, competing, whatever that is. But, I mean, as far as your question, man, like, if I had that answer, I probably wouldn't be sitting with you today. I mean, there's just a lot of fundamental basics that have to happen within the golf swing. Everybody swings the club differently based on how we're made up. And there's certain things that you specifically have to do. And it kind of starts with basics, whether it be your grip, setup, your posture, and then you just kind of move through it, right? And that's kind of what we do. We go there, then we go back swing, kind of work on stabilization, where your pressure points are on your feet, and then the downswing and follow through. So I keep it as simple as possible because I'm not turning these guys into PGA Tour stars. I'm trying to get them ready as fast as they can so it can elevate their lives. We start elevating these people's lives that are so cool within golf. It helps them, and it really changed the world we live in from the demographic standpoint of, you know, we start seeing, you know, more black CEOs. We see so many more things because, and I don't think it's golf as much been saying like, hey, don't be part of this. I just think they need people to connect everybody together, and I think that's what FOREathletes does.
Okay.
And that's why it's just absolutely exciting. And, you know, I'm big on the change the world thing. I know it's going to take time. I may be gone by the time it changes the world, but that's okay, right?
Right.
That's okay.
So yeah, it's all about baby steps. Can you name some of your clientele, some of the athletes?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think right now, I mean, I spent last week with Josh Dobbs, and he's become family to me. You know, you spend a lot of time building these guys' golf swings. You spend a lot of quality time with them. You learn about them, their families. You start helping them build actual foundations, golf tournaments. It's just such a, I mean, it's when you just not impact them, you impact their foundation. So Josh is one. Tyrod Taylor means the world to me. I think he's like the pro's pro. Like the way he dresses,
dude, swag is
the way
elite.
He does everything, the way he speaks, the way he walks into a room. You know, I'm always watching Tyrod because I'm like trying to pick up anything I can. You know, Tyrod is, you know, I mean, he's a guy that, you know, he invited my family over to his house for 4th of July. I mean, that's just the kind of guy he is, and we shoot each other's text all the time, and I've gotten kind of close to his network of friends, and I've done some cool things with them as well. So, because that's another thing with golf, like people want to play golf with their friends.
Right.
So we've got to get their friends in this too. So it kind of, sometimes we come in groups. Him, Preston Smith, who played at Mississippi State, great guy, funny. I brag on him because I haven't spent a lot of time with him, but I've played golf with him, and just a beacon of light and humor. He loves golf. He's a competitor, and I'm trying to think. And then Kyle Pitts, I played 2 rounds with him probably in early August, and man, he's a golf. I mean, he's going to be a heck of a golfer. I expect to see a guy like him in Tahoe playing those golf tournaments.
Yeah.
He's been playing for less than a year, and he's shooting high 80s, low 90s. Super fun guy. But what you'll find out from all these guys is, man, the golf course is like this sanctuary for them to be away from all the cameras, the noise. They can be themselves, and there's so much power to that. And that's and I think that's what we want within FOREathletes is. You don't want to lose that authenticity of like, hey, like this thing's valuable to get them alone in this space. But at the same time, we want to show people what we're doing. So it's kind of this like, where do we go? Because people are like, hey, like, where's the content? And it's like, well, part of this deal is kind of keeping it, not all in everybody's face, because once the camera comes on, like things change in those guys' lives. They can't. Their mistakes are kind of amplified.
Right. Man, Alan, do you see the barriers of entry for African Americans in particular softening to entering the golf game? I'm sorry.
I mean, absolutely. I mean, I think there is a tremendous appetite for the game of golf to, just expand for just multiple reasons. I think of it as like, and that's kind of what we're trying to do in a sense, is like, let's give people the tools so when they show up, they don't look like an idiot. And that's part of the problem, right? So let's kind of compare it to basketball.
Yeah.
My son plays basketball. I watch a lot of basketball. So when you go and play basketball in a pickup game, right, you go and you're playing. Well, if the ball goes out of bounds off you, right, it's my ball or my team's ball. Well, golf's got so many little different rules and things that, like where to stand, where to tee up the ball. I mean, all these like, where do you park your car? Where do you drop off your clubs? It's not just teaching people how to play golf. It's teaching them through that whole chain of events of what goes on. And so like basically when anytime, I think a black person steps on the first tee, they're checked. Like we're going like, hey, what's this guy got? And, if they do things the right way, it's like game on. Kind of similar situation, I would say, if a white guy showed up in, probably an inner city area to play basketball. It's not like you're not invited. It's not that you don't want, we want everybody that's
We're going to
good.
foul you hard.
We're going to foul you hard. And it's not, but at the same time, like, I think once they have the skill and they're not disruptive of like, they just want to know how to do it, right? They want to know the rules. They want to know, and that's every guy I work with. Hey, where's the right way to stand? Where's this? And that's really where we're walking them through that introduction to where, so like we get them to a certain level. Well, there's a lot of other great instructors of the golf swing. We're doing a lot more than that.
Right.
We're teaching them like the basics of like how to live this life through golf so it can exponentially change their world monetarily. It's going to change their kids' lives, things like that. So. I think that's like the best like way I look at it is it's just like people are going to check them out.
Yeah.
And it's not that they're not wanted, but at the same, they're just going to be critiqued a little more.
Right.
Because a golfer doesn't want a white person that's
right.
So let's be clear. Like it's not a But so yeah, I think the game of golf has come so long. I mean, it's come such a long ways. Obviously Tiger, but I mean, Tiger's Tiger. Tiger could be, Tiger's amazing. But from a standpoint of just golf here recently, and I think COVID had a part of it, I think the NBA bubble got a lot of those guys playing. And I think athletes in general with social media and everything else, they want something they can do outside of like, they want something they can do that's, hey, like it stimulates their mind.
Right.
and it helps their life, right? Like these guys are very health conscious. I mean, their workouts and all that. I mean, they are very much in tune with like things that help them, whether it's their brand or anything else. So I just want to be able to make sure that I'm elevating those people.
Right.
The way the game of golf, has elevated people that look like me for a long time.
Right. So what's next for? If you can speak on it, what's next for FOREathletes?
We're in a position now. We're talking to several partners. We're working on several different models. Kind of the main one is I want to make sure that at least the introduction into golf, when they start with an athlete, is it's free to the athlete. So I'm working with different companies so that cost is absorbed, right? Now, once we get into like building their tournaments and things like that, obviously there's a cost, right? And there's a very big cost to that first part. But I don't want the entry to be the cost. I want the entry to be like, hey, A.J. Brown, right? Hey, come try this out. See if you like it, and then let's build it. And then, I don't ever want it to be about a financial thing, because I think too many people are taking advantage of people because they have a lot of money.
Right.
And honestly, the long game for me is to make their lives exponentially better and to improve the game of golf. So if those things happen, FOREathletes will be taken care of forever. So I think it's kind of short-sighted to think, and that's the model that I'm going with and I'm excited about, and I hope all my potential partners hear about it. But that's kind of what I discussed with a lot of these partners. This is what I want to do, and they get really excited about that. So we'll see what the next really month or two looks like, because I do have conversations coming up with a lot of different groups. And, I think this could, you talk about, I think this will be, my goal is for things like partnerships with the NFL. I've already talked to a lot of agencies, maybe the NBA, we scale this thing. And, I could see them being parts of some of college programs. Because they're trying, everybody's competing. It's like, what can I do for my guys to make their lives better long term? That skill, it's like an educational skill. And that's really what we're trying to do.
It's all about creating value.
Absolutely. It's absolutely, I tell my kids that all the time. Create value. What have you done to create value? It's funny you say that, because my son's like, what if you don't do well at your work or your job or your business? I'm like, well, if you're not creating value, you won't have one. And I think that's what a lot of people need to learn in general, but creating value.
I'm going to assume you follow golf a little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah,
so give me your give me your top five golfers that you like to watch.
So it's obviously Tiger in his prime, number one. Like that's he's the only person that I'd watched playing golf that was like pulling for a football team. Like you're pulling so hard. And I think a lot of the world has kind of forgotten how dominant he was and like how intimidating he was. Tiger would actually, he would just walk and just blank stare. Now he's having a good time now. His son's playing.
But he's locked in.
But Tiger's locked in. So I would definitely say Tiger won. I kind of grew up playing golf in the early 90s, so I was a big Fred Couples guy and Payne Stewart guy. So that's three. So you're kind of, now we're like, we're knuckling in here.
Oh, yeah.
We're getting kind of tight.
Like I'm Justin Thomas, I think, for me.
No, I think, I think I'm fascinating where the game of golf is now with kind of, they've got two separate tours going on, kind of competing against each other. But I'm trying to think like, I'm a big Rory McIlroy fan. I think he goes about things the right way. But then at the same time, like there's a guy like Bryson DeChambeau. He's always pushing the envelope, trying something different. So I think that's what golf is too. You see all these different personalities, all these different types of swings. So, like top five, I just go like Tiger, and then I think Freddie, Payne Stewart, and then, sprinkle in some Rory and some Bryson. And a lot of those don't get along, but those are probably my like top five, at least from an interest standpoint. Just because they're all so different. And, you try and pick things from the different ones you like. And, definitely.
Yeah. My next question, of your process with FOREathletes and the college guys and professionals that you've been working with, who has the best swing out of those guys? Who has the best natural swing?
Okay. So this was late 2020. God, best natural swing. Yeah. There's a couple, but I'll go with this. Malik Willis by far. He is such a special person. I can't. I mean, just thinking about his smile and the time we spent together, and I spent a lot of time with Malik when he was unknown at Liberty, because he was back home for Christmas, and he just within probably, I would say, 20 minutes, he just kind of figured out. You told him what to do, and I couldn't get him to leave. And we were like on a range, and I think it was like 45 degrees.
Yeah.
And he just stayed. And stayed. I mean, we're sitting there. I'm like, I'll stay all day. He's like, yeah. He's like, I was like, are you tired or anything? He's like, man, I play football. I'm not tired. This is golf.
Right.
But I mean, he's just such a he's go. His energy's so good. But he also understands, like, when you tell him how to move his body, he can do it like a certain way. And he will always be like, hey, he'd call me coach or Alan. He'd be like, hey, you do it, let me watch you. So he'd watch me, and then he'd do it. But just great natural ability. Trey, I could see, him and his really pick up golf, like Trey Lance. I mean, like, his swing the first day, like, just the swing was so beautiful. And, another guy that just, man, he means the world to me in so many different ways. Him and Jamie especially, because they were those first two guys that
took a chance.
Yeah, well, they were just part of the process. But we went out, and me and Trey and Jamie would be sitting in a golf cart. We'd all be squished in together, all three of us, and we'd ride to the driving range, and we just had the best time. And they're competing so hard with each other, and Trey has this beautiful swing, and then Jamie's trying to compete with that, and Jamie might probably outcompeted him like he did. But Trey just had this beautiful swing, and he'd get like frustrated. But Trey was always very processed. Like, if you told him to get a wedge out first, he'd get the wedge out first. So I don't know. It's so great to spend time with such, extraordinary athletes. But I'll tell you, like, those guys as people, I mean, them as people is just, they've changed my life. Not from like, hey, like, they're quarterbacks in these famous situations, but just the way to look at things, And, I've got a good Trey story,
We're ready.
Okay.
We're ready for it.
So the blessing of being part of the QB Takeover family is Quincy Avery and Sean McAvoy have both taken to golf very well. So this is late January of 2021. They've moved draft prep down to Pensacola. And so we're all going to go, and obviously they're going to go through their draft stuff and all the the whiteboards and all that stuff, go through the stuff they normally do with Trey and Jamie, and we go play golf afterwards or whatever. So we're out there, and I'll never forget this field. I want to say it was probably maybe a 60 or 70 yard AstroTurf field, and the wind's blowing like 35 miles an hour. And so I'll never forget, Q said to Trey, which way you want to go? He's like, into the wind. So I'm like, all right. So Sean had me get like the gloves on and everything. I'm like, I'm gonna catch too. Like, I'm out there. So the first one Trey threw at me, right? It was like, it was probably an out to the right. I'll never forget it. The thing in catching a ball from a guy like that, like, and I feel like I'm not a great athlete, but I can catch a football.
Yeah.
And so the thing is, like, that last 10 yards, it gets there like that. And so it slid past my hands, and it nailed me right there where there was like this big mark, but I caught it. And Trey and Sean were like, they were kind of worried about it. I'm like, I'm good. Like, it didn't hurt. But that type of experience with him, and then going out to catch balls with him, and seeing the process and how smart he was on the whiteboard and things like that. But I'll never forget that wind blowing. He would just throw it, and it just like pierced through it. I'll never forget like that. Sean we joke about it, like how I just like toughed it off because I caught it. Right. But it got me there first, and he saw that. He was like, oh, we hurt the old guy. So
now, just even think about the competitive nature of him. I want to throw into the wind.
Oh, I mean, absolutely.
Right.
I think, I think that was, that's where I get to see or I've gotten to see behind the curtain a little bit. I'd call it a $20 million football experience to probably some people, to see kind of how people prepare to get ready for the highest level. But also kind of when you see those things and how they prepare, like, you understand, like, when I'm going on this journey with FOREathletes, like, you've got to be ready. You've got to prepare. These guys work so hard. For this much time you see them on draft night or at a game, man, they're working all the time on their bodies, on their minds, and it kind of makes you check yourself. Like, hey, what am I doing to get better? And I think that's probably what's sped the process on more than anything, is because I'm just locked in on it. Because I know you have to be locked in to be great. And a lot of those guys show me that.
Man, Alan, I got a couple more questions for you. Number one,
Yeah.
is Q as good as he say he is on the golf course?
Yeah, I got an answer for this. So Quincy Avery's golf game. Quincy Avery has a very high ceiling and a very low floor. So, and that's a great thing in golf, because like he will be a great golfer. And I mean, there's no doubt about it. Like, he'll play 9 holes of golf. Like, we played, it's probably in the past month, played 9 holes. I believe he shot 2 over par, which is really good. So, I mean, he's just, I think a lot of people in golf, like, it takes time. It takes, once you get in that comfort level of shooting lower scores, you got to learn how to forget it's next shot up. It's always next shot up. I think that's the tough part of people starting and playing the game, is like they start thinking about their score. So you start thinking about the round more than the next shot, and that's kind of what gets people in trouble. But yeah, Q's going to be a great golfer. He does great things today. So like when he talks trash on the golf course, I mean, there's no doubt he has phenomenal ability. Like, I've seen him hit phenomenal shots. I've seen him make plenty of birdies, eagles, things like that. But it's just kind of putting it all together. And it's been fun to be part of that journey. Because I know him and his, with his network, he could be spending time with anybody, and I think, I mean, he cherishes the time. I think we're at the point where, as much as I do, like, he loves, like, hey, we get out and play and go work on his game. And you kind of, when you're working with anybody in golf, you got to also know when to pick, when to, like, lay back. You just, you let them go, and I think that's important about instruction in general. You've got to kind of let them go through, make their mistakes, kind of get a natural feel for things. But no, Quincy Avery, he's definitely his very high ceiling in the game of golf.
Last thing, any words of inspiration for for the younger generation, that maybe some young athletes that's looking to get into golf?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, I think there's an opportunity. I don't think success in golf is the same for everyone. So, for example, like, success for my son in golf may be just knowing how to play. Like, say he just goes out and plays a couple times a year. Success for you might be playing 2 rounds a month. What I say is, like, golf doesn't have to be like this one thing for everybody. It could be, hey, I just like to go to Topgolf, right? And I mean, I say that and you say inspiration. I mean, I just say, golf or anything, just work hard at what you love. I mean, like, that's what I get to do right now, is I'm working hard at what I love in this journey and making the world better. If golf's part of that, that's great. If it's not, man, that's fine too. There's plenty of things out there. I just think the unique thing about golf, especially for someone in an elite position, it really elevates them faster than a guy that's not in an elite position. And it's not fair, but you know what? Sports aren't fair.
Right.
Life's not fair. So I do think there's just a lot of opportunity. But, like, I don't know, inspiration, I think of so much in myself because I'm 43 years old, and this just happened to me a couple years ago. So, I mean, I'll just, keep at it, keep building relationships. That's kind of what's got me. And just, keep your head up. You never know what's next.
Alan, man, thank you for thank you for joining the segment this evening. I know the travel was unique, but I definitely appreciate you, and we're gonna love to continue to watch you watch FOREathletes grow.
I appreciate that. I've watched what you're doing as well with the segment, and I look forward to kind of, watching this kind of like back and forth. And I think anytime, you can tell your story, it's valuable. Anyone else that sees what I'm doing in golf, like, it's valuable. So, man, I just appreciate you having me.
Yes, sir. Founder of FOREathletes, Alan Chaney. Thanks, man.
Absolutely.
Yes. Oh, there we go. There we go.
One time for the underdog. We the one that got the power when it's time to make a change. One time for the underdog. Yeah. One time for the underdog. Yeah. One time for the underdog. Yeah. One time for the underdog.